slides showed all the data, the data that we collected. This is my,
Oh, yes.
okay. For research question 1, in what ways will the use of number talks improve students' 4th grade math proficiency? We gave that pre and post tests were given to compare their students' progress over the 3.5 weeks. So we had about 3.5 weeks just to actually have the intervention taking place in your class, not including post interviews or any of that, just the actual number talks. And the pre-test was used as a baseline to measure growth, and we chose 6 4th grade appropriate division problems, 4 basic computation expressions, and 2 word problems. So let's see if we
You
can.
can kind of see the pre and post.
Well, it's hard to see it at the bottom there, so I was seeing if I could.
Oh, you can move it up.
I can, but I'm not in presentation mode anymore. Would you like me to escape out?
Just try, yeah. Escape
Okay.
out. Go ahead. That way they can see it and just scroll.
Here, see if it. There.
There it is.
There's the. Okay. So so you can see this pre and post test results. We had 5 questions. So it's number and percent of students answering correctly on the pre-test. So this is the first question. 1 student got that question and right. Question 2, 6 students, so on.
And we did see an increase. So if you notice from question 1, we went from 1 to 3, question 2, 6 to 8, question 3, 0 to 1, question 4, 4 to 3, that one went down, question 5, 1 to 1 to 5, and then 6, 1 to 5.
These were our word problems here.
Yes.
So we're
Those
happy
were our
to see
complex word problems right there.
that they had growth there. Those questions.
This is one of my favorite charts right here because it shows that it shows the growth. The pre-intervention test results, 23 students did not meet the standards. Okay, so we had 100% standard students not meeting the standard. Okay, but then when you go to the post-intervention, we still had 16, but students started to trickle into the standard nearly met, standard met, and standard exceeded. And Amy, you want to go ahead and talk about this part right here?
All right, so we took this is more of our what we call qualitative data. So you take a look at the test itself and how many students actually attempted to try to solve it. So on the first test, there were hardly any students that even tried to solve. They were timid. They were scared to try. So the number of total questions were 6 times 23 students. So that was 138. So number of questions attempted, there were only 40. So that gave an average of 28%.
So only 28% of students tried
attempted.
They had some type of problem solving. They didn't get the answer, but they attempted.
So over on this side, we had a number of questions attempted were 77, which gave us 64%.
So from 28% to 64%.
Now they might not have gotten it right, but they were actually trying it. You
Persevering.
can see their work on there, and that was answering our question of improving motivation. So it showed great. They had strategies now to try to attempt to solve it. And what's really hard about when you're grading a test is we were looking for correct answers only. They'd be so close, and it's just like they'd be off on their remainder or something. It's like, oh my gosh.
So this is qualitative data. Okay. To address the second research question regarding student motivation, we collected weekly student surveys in order to collect students' thoughts and outlooks towards mathematics. By having students disclose their feelings towards mathematics using a pre- and post-student survey, the data allowed us to compare and contrast valuable insights connected to student motivation. So as you can see and read, question 1, I am confident about my math ability, which shows, students were here, yes, I feel good about math, 35%. And then, but then we had many students moving into the strongly agree survey too. Okay, so they're feeling good about math.
And they had the choice to rank themselves strongly disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. Question 4, there is usually one right way to solve a math problem, and as you can tell, there's definitely more than one way. And you can see the ratings here. So there's usually one right way. They strongly disagreed, 3, disagreed, 3, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. Over here.
So
It's kind of hard to see.
this is interesting though, because you have 9 kids saying, yeah, there's only one way.
Mhm.
There's only one way. And then on the survey 2, 6, and then we had 6 here that strongly disagree versus
we're
we
wanting
have
to
3.
see that.
So they're starting to see that flexibility. Wait a minute, there's more than one way to solve a problem. And this just shows, again, the qualitative data. It is important to be able to solve math problems in my head, so that's connected with the mental math part of Number Talks.
Improve quite there. And then in question 6 in math, I used different strategies to solve different problems. We had 4 strongly agreeing, and then we had a great increase there of 12. Yes.
And lastly, I feel confident solving multiplication and division problems in my head. We had many students starting to feel good about mathematics, especially division and multiplication. So, desired growth. This is another great chart because it shows the strategies. On the pre-test, 11 strategies were applied by students to solve math problems. So these are all the different strategies that they came up with to solve their work.
And the number under it is how many students tried to use that strategy. And then you can see on the yellow would be the post-test, and there were 15 different types of strategies used. Maybe it wasn't the correct one, but at least it was a strategy that they now had in their strategy bank, if you want to say so. And you can see the students who attempted using those.
So went from 11 strategies being applied to 15 strategies being applied.
Just another chart to show our data. This is just a bar graph, as you can tell, going by question, survey. We've already gone over that, but just another chart.
Well, it's nice to see that.
Yeah.
Because when you look at they can tell you just different ways of looking at it, right?
Exactly. And it's interesting, I've learned in data analysis the different ways you can manipulate.
Uh-huh,
Make it.
exactly.
Quite
That's
interesting.
right.
Very interesting.
So the results of our study, after triangulating the quantitative and qualitative data, we discovered that students' confidence and math abilities improved quite a bit. They went from 35% feeling strongly to 68% on the post-test. And then student motivation and perseverance in problem solving also improved. There was an increase in numbers from 28% on the pre-test to 64% on the post-test. Also improved flexibility to choose an appropriate expedient strategy to solve problems. There was about 11 students that attempted to use a strategy, and now there's 15 on the post-test. And improved proficiency levels also were shown. On the pre-test, there was 100% of students not meeting the standard, and now there's 20% of students nearly meeting the standards. And think about how long the intervention was. It was only for 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
And so that's pretty impressive.
And Mrs. Cornejo's class has never done a number talk.
Right.
Never.
That's
why we chose
exactly
the class.
why I conducted them,
Yes,
because they had
never.
already.
So this was just 3.5 weeks, and we saw a lot of gains.
Wow.
Okay, so to continue supporting students with the development of number sense, and also gear students into viewing mathematics as a flexible and dynamic subject matter, it would be intriguing to propose and analyze how students' math achievement would increase if number talks were adopted across grade levels. Okay, so that's a vision that we would like to see here at Harvest.
And educators should collaborate with colleagues to practice manipulating and trying out different problems in order to understand the number talk process and understand the various avenues student might take to solve a math problem. And that's been so powerful for Janet and Nancy and I, is actually sitting down and trying to solve the problems ourselves without using the standard algorithm. And we've had to break out the Unifix cubes.
Constantly.
On the
Constantly.
halving and doubling strategies.
Yeah,
You can see where
halving and
it
doubling, because everything we're noticing is relating back to rectangles. And I know that word area model keeps coming up, but it goes back in time to the way the land was laid out, and rectangles were used to measure things, and you can solve division with it. And it's not to be used as an algorithm itself. It's just to be able to show the relationships between the distributive property and algebra and division and multiplication, and it's very, very valuable.
Very powerful. Okay, do we have any questions or comments at this time as we wrap up our presentation?
I can see the importance of using that. Thank you for doing that. I can see it starting, with pre-K. And and I really do believe it would make a big difference conference. You know how we always had like orientation, presentation like that? That's the orientation. That's what I see, and then doing the number talks and making it a daily thing. And boy, when it comes back, up to you guys, woo.
Well, and we had the opportunity to practice number talks during the summer, and we were so embarrassed because we were like, oh my God, we can't solve this. I need paper. We're trying to bust out the paper, and we realized, whoa, this is a whole different other way of teaching mathematics instead of being so procedural about it.
I was definitely one way to solve a math problem.
I think we all were, because that's how, that's what we're taught. So now it's untraining them.
Yeah, it's undoing that.
Having them think differently.
Students are taking more chances for sure in their mathematics. They're staying on task more because we're giving them that flexibility of try it out, show me what you have. And then from there we have them explain it out in your words, okay? Because that's huge and that's powerful. So yes, and it's difficult. So number talks really has allowed us to touch many parts, reading and writing as well.
And also I wanted to, before I go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Estela, go ahead, and I'll talk.
Oh, I just want to know, did you do this daily? Like, was this a daily before you start your math lesson? Or?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
great
that's
question.
how it actually is what Debbie was saying, which is like, it's like kind of like a warm up to get them thinking. Yeah. And I wanted to piggyback on an idea that you had said earlier. You know how you asked if it was part of poster math?
Yeah.
It's actually been very helpful in poster math. 'Cause I started out with division, and now I'm not doing the study anymore, but I'm doing fraction number talks.
Right.
And it's leading them into the question, and I can see my kids, they're doing equivalent fraction, they're doing mixed numbers without even knowing it, and then we're like comparing numbers.
Yeah,
Oh, it's just
doing
so
that
powerful.
As I'm, doing that as the orientation part, and then you could do the poster math.
Right, that's
see which
yeah.
different ways,
Yes.
so thank you for that.
And I like to my number talks on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So Wednesday's kind of like our break to do other stuff, but so four times a week I'll do the 10-15 minutes, and I time myself. I use my phone because I'll end up start talking and teaching. I'll start to take
Turn it
over
into
and
a
be like,
lesson.
okay, it's all about me, and I keep forgetting that it's about them. So you're gonna notice that if you do try it out, you're gonna notice that you have to move yourself away and let them think through the process.
Okay, so where do you get your questions from? And then also, is it like for the lesson that you're going to teach later that day, or is it something reviewed from the month before? Like, what was your process on choosing your talk?
That's an excellent question. We chose to use the number talks that are in the parish book, and she has like a sequence for every grade level.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Look, even it starts with K, and it's like it tells you have it all planned out pretty much for you.
Yes.
K1.
And there's
Two.
videos in there which are powerful. So
Yes.
there's at least 4 copies of this book on campus. So
Yes.
Anybody who wants to borrow mine, you're welcome to. Yeah.
And Jill, just to answer your second question, remember we're trying to move into the thinking that math is not isolated. It's really integrated. So I might be teaching number talks on division, but I might be teaching measurement. Right?
you follow
Sometimes
the
it
order of
doesn't
the book?
connect. Sometimes it doesn't connect to the core curriculum, but you're gonna notice they're gonna find those connections.
they will.
Okay.
They're gonna find those
They will.
connections because it's all connected.
Right.
It's all
Okay.
connected.
And I also think you can leave it up to the teacher's discretion. Like if you feel comfortable with doing it based on something that you're working on, go for it.
Yeah.
Use what you're doing, because that's kind of my thinking. I use it as my warm up for whatever I'm doing to get them thinking freely.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I was excited whenever they asked to do this because they're doing team, and the team also meets with the admin team here in Oberlin, and so they did a number talks with the admin team, and so I had much the same experience as all of you did whenever Vicki presented number talk, because I was always a student that was not good at math. I did not like math. I still don't like math. I can budget very easily, but whenever it comes to like figuring things, then no. And so they put a problem up, and then we had to, tell what our strategy was. And, to be honest with you, I had no idea how to solve the problem. And so when the other people in the room started to tell their strategy, it helped me to say, oh, that's how I could have worked that problem, or that's how I could have done that. So this to me is super powerful for all the students that are in your classroom that might not have a voice, to gain strategies from each other. And then anytime I walk through Amy or Nancy's room, they have them posted up, and they have the students' names written by their problem, and that's really a sense of pride for those students that that's a strategy that they have employed in the classroom, and other kids can look up and see it, reflect back on it. So
We've seen our RSP students too. Yes, they're
blowing everybody else away.
They are, seriously, because their brains think this way
Yes.
differently. They're not the standard algorithm. They are, it makes sense to them. And Nancy's got some great stories about a student.
Yes, he's just blowing everybody away. He takes out his, afterwards he wants to continue, and so he'll take out his expo and he's all over the table, just showing all this math. And then I ask him to explain it to me, so then he's talking and talking and talking. And then I'm hoping from there it will go into writing, or I will type it for him, whatever he's saying. But it's showing a lot of growth,
When you, if you, we hope that you choose to try it, the number talks in your class, come to us and talk to us about it, because we've experienced it. It might be at first a bit intimidating, because it's hard to get all their different ideas down, and you're like, I don't understand what they're saying right now either. Just go with it. You're gonna find that you're gonna end up enjoying them, and your students are gonna go, number talk, yes. It's time for
Yeah,
number
they
talk."
really enjoy it.
You were saying that sometimes it doesn't correlate directly with the lesson you're teaching, or so do you ever end up getting ahead of yourself where you haven't taught the unit on that yet?
We're in
So-
that position right now.
Yes.
How my class is full of CELT levels 1 and 2s. How do you provide the language for those students who just don't have it yet and they haven't even heard it yet? What do you do for them when they really do want to try to share?
Go ahead. As Janet was talking, and all this vocabulary, the teacher's bringing up the vocabulary. Oh, she just used the
Okay.
distributive property, and those are going to be hanging in your class, and you have automatic anchor charts.
Okay.
And they will go back to them, and they're going to go, oh, you're using the distributive property. You're like, I haven't even taught a lesson on distributive property. It's
We're
just come
already
up in
there.
conversation.
Okay.
So for example, they'll say, oh, this fraction is equal with this other fraction. So then I'll say, oh, you mean they're equivalent fractions? So you're introducing the language that way,
Okay.
so you're starting to embed it in their minds as well.
Okay.
Also, in the handout that we provided for you, there's frames that you could use.
Okay,
If
great.
you wanted to put them up, you can.
And I
Right
still
next to your
use
number
I still have questions next, because they're very open-ended questions, and we're not used to that, so I have my open-ended questions next to me. That way I don't shut them out,
Okay.
or me take over again. So I have my open-ended, that way they can continue the
Okay.
process.
The questioning part can be hard, how to question but not give the answer.
Yes.
Because I was a giver.
It's reprogramming for us too. We have to
Yeah.
reprogram.
It's been
And even like writing the strategies, like you kind of have to learn them
Mhm.
as you're writing them down. So.
You're becoming more of that facilitator and the coach, and they're the ones doing the talking.
Well, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Thank you. Here's your handouts right here. There's
I'll
some
take a-
handouts. And Michelle? Oh, yeah. Do you have your survey or? Oh, our survey